Ladies and gentlemen, very pleased now to be joined by one CEO and founder, Chatri Sityodtong, ahead of 1X on March 26th. We've been looking forward to this one for a long time. What kind of an achievement is this to put on a card this stacked and just not just survive as an organization, but to thrive and evolve each year?
Yeah, I think this event is literally going to go down as one of the greatest events, if not the greatest event in martial arts history. It's going to be one of those events 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now that all of our fans will be talking about and our athletes will be talking about to their children and grandchildren. It's just one of those magical moments, never before have we seen an event of this scale with the highest level martial artists across mixed martial arts and kickboxing, Muay Thai, submission grappling, with this many world title fights and so many intriguing storylines like a DJ and Rodtang. It's just one of those epic moments, if I genuinely believe it's like Pride Shockwave, in the same way Pride Shockwave still, gives goosebumps to martial arts fans all over the world. It's just one of these epic moments in history where no global organization has ever attempted to put on 3 world championship cards across MMA, Muay Thai, kickboxing, submission grappling with the greatest world championship martial artists at the highest levels in the world with the highest stakes and storylines. So it just, everything came together, for a reason. It was supposed to be December of last year, as you know, Andrew, and I guess the universal God had different plans for us, but here we are, 1 week away. I'm super fired up, man.
I remember the old days, I remember the old shows and they were awesome too, but MMA, right? So at what point was this part of a master plan? Did you say to yourself, I want to get the best kickboxers, I want to get the best submission grapplers, or did this kind of organically happen? Like, how did this come about? Because you look at the kickboxing roster and it's insane. You look at the Muay Thai roster, it's insane.
Yeah, and the grappling roster is insane too.
Yeah, exactly.
One is the home of martial arts, and that's our, brand statement, if you will. And, as a lifelong martial artist, I think it's just the way my own journey as a martial artist has taken, right? Of course, I started Muay Thai when I was 13 years old in Thailand as a kid. I still train every day, 5-6 times a week. Been doing over 35 plus years now. But I've also picking up jiu-jitsu, right? In 2005 onwards. And I train in jiu-jitsu 5-6 times a week as well. And that is how we've always thought of it. Martial arts is ultimately not defined by a rule set. It's defined by this warrior way of life. It's defined by, skill set that allows you to compete or defend yourself in a real life self-defense situation. So to have the very, very best MMA roster, the very, very best kickboxing roster, the very best Muay Thai roster, the very best submission grappling roster, it's just a natural evolution of one, as the home of martial arts.
So the last event, we had so many KOs and dished out 5 bonuses. How have you felt about the implementation of the bonus system? Like, have you noticed a change in the attitude of the fighters? Because it's just crazy to see so many KOs on one card. I feel like everyone's kind of stepped up their game a bit.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's had a huge impact. I just look at, of course, we've always done $50,000 bonuses in one for several years now. But I never came out and said, hey, every event we're going to have one. And, I might give 1, I might give 5, I might give all 5 to one athlete. I don't know, right? It's like that has inspired a new level of intensity, a new level of competition. And I clearly define it. I give a pre-fight, pre-event speech to all of our athletes, and I clearly define how you're going to win that $50,000 bonus. And it's 2 things of equal weighting. 1, showing the highest technique in the world, the highest level of technical skills, world championship skill set, which they obviously have. But equally important is gameness, which I define as, the finishing instinct, the finishing ability at any given opportunity. And if you have your opponent hurt, finish the fight. And that's ultimately what, the true essence of martial arts is about. And so I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's an accident that, we had 9 finishes, 9 knockouts in 10 fights, last fight.
Yeah, that one will go down. That'll be remembered, I think, that one. I got to ask you who your fight of the night pick is, but also who do you think is the dark horse, either a fighter or a fight that's going to shock the world?
For 1X?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I know Stan Fairtex and Angela Lee, many people are saying that's a 50-50 fight. I think this is the first time in Angela's career where she's a real underdog, a significant underdog. So I think Stan Fairtex has a very real chance of shocking the world and becoming a 3-sport world champion, the first ever to do so, with male or female, right? To win world titles in Muay Thai, kickboxing, and MMA, just never been done before. I think who else? I think DJ and Rodtang will also have a shock finish. It depends on the day. I wake up sometimes, I think Rodtang's going to knock DJ out, because DJ's never faced a striker of this caliber ever in his career. And then I wake up the next day and I think DJ is just going to absolutely steamroll him in the second round and sub Rodtang, because Rodtang's never faced a mixed martial artist of this caliber. I think that one has a lot of intrigue for me. I think the other really exciting fights for me are, Andre Galvao versus Renier de Ridder. Andre obviously is a multiple-time world champion jiu-jitsu athlete. Renier is a high-level black belt, but not a world champion in black belt, obviously a world champion in mixed martial arts. Either Renier is crazy, or he's stupid, or he knows something I don't know. Because to call out Andre Galvao, one of the greatest grapplers of all time, and I in my own jiu-jitsu journey, I've been able to roll with normal black belts and world championship level black belts. And there, I can tell you, a black belt in jiu-jitsu, all black belts are not created equal. There are huge gaps between a normal black belt and an elite world championship black belt. I mean, massive gaps. And that's why I just think Renier it's absolutely crazy, stupid, or he knows something I don't know. I mean, my bet is Andre is going to steamroll him and sub him very quickly. But again, so that's another fun one. I think another intriguing one is Denise versus Seo Hee-ham. Denise Zamboanga versus Seo Hee-ham. That's obviously a rematch, and that's going to be for the title challenger spot, right? Whoever wins will then go on to fight for the world title against Angela, the winner of Angela and Stamp. Then you have Superbone and Marat. That's also a crazy fight. Marat KO'd him in, I think, in a minute, a few years ago. And Superbone right now is the hottest kickboxer on the planet, having knocked out the GOAT, Giorgio Petrosian. And, when you get knocked out in a minute by an opponent, I know it has psychological implications. I just know, it's hard to overcome that. But Superbone seems to be, razor sharp focus, and his confidence is sky high. But Marat is a Mike Tyson of kickboxing. He has dynamite in his hands. He has dynamite in his kicks. He truly has, one blow knockout power. I mean, again, whether it's his hands or his feet, he can knock you out in a single shot, whether it's body or head. So that one is a really intriguing matchup. But so many incredible storylines. Aoki and Akiyama, real bad blood. It's a grudge match. They hated each other for, many years. I mean, it's 15 years. And they've always been, every organization they've been in has always tried to set it up, but just for one reason or another couldn't set it up. Obviously, there are two legendary names. If I had to say who are the top legendary names of Japanese mixed martial arts, it would be, Shinya Aoki or Kazushi Sakuraba, Akiyama, a handful of names. And obviously, Akiyama and Aoki, are two of them. So that's going to be a very fascinating one as well. So, it's hard for me to judge. I know I'm going on and on, Andrew, but it's just, there are no prelims on this. On the 3 cards, there are no prelim fights. They're all world championship caliber athletes, world championship athletes. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. So whether it's mixed martial arts, kickboxing, Muay Thai, or submission grappling, you can't blink. This is the highest level in the world all day long from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. And that's why I said it's going to go down in history as one of those magical events that people look as a historic moment in the martial arts history.
It's nice as well because I think for hardcore martial arts fans who love all martial arts, it's got everything. And then also for casual fans, who might be seeing some of these guys for the first time, like Rodtang, some of the US audience may not still know just how ridiculous a fighter he is. How big of a star do you think he is? Because if you've watched him, you know instantly, wow. But if you've never seen him fight, you're in for a treat.
I think Rodtang can be the first true global superstar of Muay Thai. Of course, we've had Walkout, and we've had, a couple others, but I would say those are more, regional superstars. Obviously, Walkout fought in K1, which was a Japanese promotion, so it had limited exposure. But one is a truly global platform, right, in 154 countries. So Rodtang has the opportunity to be the biggest star that Muay Thai has ever seen on the global stage. He has a style, he has the charisma, he has everything in his favor. The only thing that I would want Rodtang to do is speak English fluently, and then he can definitely be a global superstar. But he's fun to watch. He's a good guy, and he represents, martial arts and won very well in terms of our ethos. And yet he's an absolute killer and monster, when it comes to competing.
It's interesting because interviewing some of the fighters, you've had people like Jonathan Haggerty, Bibiano, even Superbon, I think, mentioned it. Mixed rules. A lot of these guys are now putting their hand up. Is this like a one and done special for the anniversary show? Or are you going to see how it pans out? Or are you intrigued? Is this something we might see more of?
No, I think we're going to see more of. I think that's what makes one such a unique and differentiated product and fan experience, is that we do have world champions across all the different major martial arts, but the fact that there are storylines like a Stamp Fairtex, who's trying to become the only person in history of martial arts to become a 3-sport world champion. But at the same time, how do you get the greatest of all time from 2 different sports in the prime of their lives to compete against each other under different rule sets? And that's why I do like this kind of hybrid rule set we have. It makes for many intriguing storylines that we can do that no other global combat organization can do. And obviously, UFC is our biggest competitor. They are the world's largest MMA organization. We're the world's largest martial arts organization. But I think we have far more interesting storylines if you look, going forward, what we can do with our platform and our athletes.
We've got those old school legend talents like Shinya and Sexiyama. But in terms of the next gen, you've just signed Danielle Kelly. She's a phenom up against Mei Yamaguchi, a veteran. Danielle says she wants to transition to MMA later. She's mentioned grappling with people like Angela Lee, Michelle Nicolini. How big of a star is she, and how interested is it that she's joined the promotion and that she's open to doing these things?
Yeah, I'm a huge Danielle Kelly fan. I love her. She's the sweetest woman outside of competition, heart of gold, and also a really tough life story. Her parents are both gone. Her father was sick and ill when she began jiu-jitsu, but he took her to jiu-jitsu classes, and that was his final gift to her. And the fact that now she's going to be on the global stage, the largest stage of martial arts, is a testament to her willpower, her grit, her resilience, and also her gratitude to her parents. And so it's just something like, it's very, I've been a huge Danielle Kelly fan for a long time. She and I began speaking a few years ago, and eventually culminated in her joining. But I think she's going to do huge things in submission grappling in one. I think she's going to do huge things in MMA in one. And she has all the right attributes to become a global superstar. So I have high expectations for the future for Danielle.
Atomweight's been a standout division in the last year or so. Now that Angela's back, it kind of just adds fuel to the fire. She says she wants Denise next over Ham. I mean, if Ham wins, then it's a legend against Angela. So you got 2 storylines. But how big is 2022 for Atomweight?
I think the one Atomweight division is the single greatest division in all of female mixed martial arts, the most stacked by far in terms of high level. If you look at the top 16, top 8, if I were a competitor, I'd hate to be in that division, because it's just like, you look left, it's a monster. You look right, it's a monster. It's just such an exciting division with the storylines. The female, all the females have incredible personalities and characters and backstories, and it's just a fascinating division and a fascinating time to be, you know, in one right now. So I have high hopes for some incredible storylines that'll play out in 2022.
How much of a challenge or how fun was it to put together this card? I saw a discussion online, you know, I would like to see an Eddie or Sage. Is it a case of saving those guys for later in the year? Because not everybody can make it on the card, right? But will we see those guys later on?
Actually, we gave Eddie a fight and he turned down. Sage also turned it down for 1X. We did want, you know, I'm a huge Eddie Alvarez fan. I'm a huge Sage Northcutt fan. We did give him out. We gave Eddie a Segid, you know, Khabib's boy from Eagle FC. And, you know, Eddie turned it down. Sage Northcutt, same thing. Sage Northcutt, we gave Shinya Aoki, and Sage turned it down. Then we gave Sage Edward Falayang, and he turned it down. So it's just one of those things, you know, of course, I do want Eddie and Sage back in action as quickly as possible. And hopefully, you know, they will be back in action very quickly after 1X. But yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Eddie Alvarez fan and a huge Sage Northcutt fan, and I wish they were here on the card and here in Singapore for our 10th year anniversary show.
Last one I want to ask you about is Adriano Moraes against Yuya Wakamatsu. Yuya says he's the hardest hitter in one, which is a big claim. He certainly hits hard. Are we going to see the belt change hands there?
Well, definitely pound for pound, Yuya is the hardest hitter. I mean, if you look at his technique, it's a little bit unorthodox in that he generates so much power because he has this leaping style. So you feel like you're in safe distance with him, but the way he throws his punch, he actually leaps forward. So it's almost like the Mike Tyson day of Mike Tyson, you know, when he would do that leaping left hook. So you felt safe from the distance, but then when he fired the shot, he's able to cover so much distance. So there's massive transfer of weight and torque at the same time when they're throwing it. And that's why that makes it so dangerous, right? Versus a very traditional striker would be planted feet and just fire off on a good base. Yuya Wakamatsu, he throws from, you know, way in left field and he's flying in the air and he's throwing that punch. So I agree with him. He is the hardest puncher pound for pound in one. He has true 1 KO, 1 knockout power. Now, Adriano he's very long, he's very tricky, he has incredible fight IQ. And he's very tall for a flyweight. So that's going to give Yuya a lot of problems. And of course, if Yuya is overly aggressive, he's going to get taken down, right? Where he's going to miss with those flying punches and then get a double and get taken down by Adriano. You know, this is a 50-50 fight. It's one of those fights where I can envision Adriano winning by submission, but I can also envision Yuya winning by KO, 1-punch KO, because Adriano might misgauge the distance, might feel safe in a distance that he normally would be in, and actually Yuya can cover the distance with a single blow. Super exciting fight, and obviously this is for the stakes of being the best flyweight in the world. Adriano, in my opinion, can crush any flyweight world champion in the world today. He is the single best flyweight champion in the world today, and he is going against, you know, Yuya Wakamatsu to determine who is the greatest on the planet right now. You know, Adriano's fresh off knocking out DJ, a feat never done before, and he was actually dominating DJ before that. DJ's never been dominated ever, right? When he was in the UFC, 11 or 12 title defenses, but you know, I thought he actually beat Henry Cejudo's in that last fight, yeah, I mean, I think DJ is the GOAT or one of the GOATs for a reason, right? He's just his body of work, but more equally important, his skill set. If you just as a fan look at his raw skill set. So Adriano finishing DJ is a huge statement. If Yuya can finish Adriano, that's a massive statement. So a lot of intrigue in this fight as well.
All to play for, wall-to-wall bangers. Can't wait for this one. Chatri, great to see you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Take care, buddy.